All right, let's get into it. Today, we're diving into a project called Bittensor, and it's built on a really interesting twist. It asks, what if Bitcoin's true innovation wasn't really about digital money, but about the crazy powerful incentive system that makes it all work?
So to really get BitTensor, you have to start right there with that question. Forget the coin for a second. What if the most important part of Bitcoin is that global, hyper-competitive system that creates it?
So yeah, to understand Bittensor, we've got to look at how Bitcoin gets people to work for it, because Bittensor basically takes that core idea, that engine, and points it at something totally new, artificial intelligence. Think of it like this. Bittensor is a giant, worldwide job market, but with no central company. The network itself posts a job. Then anyone, anywhere in the world, can jump in and compete to do it. And here's the magic. The system itself figures out who did the best work and pays them automatically. No boss, no interviews, just a blockchain cutting the check.
And this is exactly how it builds on Bitcoin's genius. Bitcoin uses something called proof of work, right? Miners solve these incredibly hard but ultimately kind of useless math puzzles to secure the network. BitTensor flips that on its head and calls it proof of useful work. Here, miners are competing by doing actually valuable stuff, building AI models, crunching data, creating code, so they secure the network and create something useful at the same time. The work isn't just thrown away. Okay, so where is all this useful work actually happening? Well, that brings us to the very heart of the BitTensor ecosystem, these things called subnets.
Right now, there are 128 of these subnets. Each one is its own unique, programmable contest for a specific digital product. Honestly, the best way to think about them is like 128 different AI startups, all living under one roof, all competing like mad for resources and rewards. And the process? It's beautifully simple. First, a subnet owner sets a goal. Let's say, create the world's best AI coding assistant. Then, miners from all over the globe get to work competing to build it. Next, the network itself judges all the submissions and figures out which one is the best. And finally, boom, the blockchain automatically pays the winner with brand new tokens. No HR department, no invoices, just pure automated capitalism. This competition is so intense, so relentless, it led one person to call it the most ferocious form of capitalism yet invented. I mean, every single day is a brand new fight. It doesn't matter what you built yesterday. If you're not the best today, you get nothing. The network is constantly rewarding the winners and kicking out the weakest performers. It's brutal. So how do you get involved in something like this? Well, you've got two main ways. You can hold the main token, which is called TEO. That's kind of like buying an index fund, like the S&P 500. You're betting on the whole ecosystem. Or you can get more specific and invest in a particular subnet's token. That's more like buying an individual stock. And here's the really clever part. As these subnets get more successful, they have to use TEO to keep their top spot in the network. So success anywhere always flows value back to that core TEO token. All right, so we've established we have these hyper-competitive little AI startups. But what are they, actually building? Let's take a look at a few real-world examples. And that's a fair question, right? Does this whole crazy decentralized free-for-all actually produce anything valuable? Well, it turns out the answer is a big, resounding yes. So check this out. There's a subnet called Ridges. It's an AI assistant for coders, and it's already smoking centralized giants like Claude and Cursor in performance tests. But its real killer feature isn't just that it's good, it's the price. Because the folks building Ridges are getting paid by the blockchain in tokens, they don't have to pass all their development costs on to you, the user. This means Ridges can offer its service for as little as 1/70th the price of its rivals. That's not just a discount, that's a structural economic advantage that the big centralized companies just can't compete with. Here's another one. A subnet called Hippias is going after the massive cloud storage market, a market totally dominated by Amazon Web Services. It's building a decentralized file storage system specifically for the insane data needs of the AI age. And the cost savings here are just staggering. Hippias can offer storage at up to 1/4000th the cost of Amazon's service. Oh, and with zero fees to get your data out. This isn't just a slightly better product, it's a totally different ballgame. And it's not all just back-end infrastructure either. You've got creative stuff like 404gen. This is a subnet that lets you create a 3D object just by typing what you want. A red sports car or a futuristic spaceship.
This is a huge deal for gaming, for virtual reality, you name it.
And because you have AI working on this 24/7, this one subnet has already generated a library of 25 million 3D objects in about a year. That makes it the largest collection of its kind on the entire planet. That just shows you the insane speed and scale this decentralized model can achieve.
So, with this level of real innovation happening, let's zoom out. What does this all mean for the bigger picture? Could we be looking at the beginning of the next major wave in crypto?
Let's just do a quick history lesson. Think back to 2016. A couple of breakout projects on Ethereum, like the DAO and Golem, totally took off. This kicked off the huge ICO craze. And because you needed to buy Ethereum's token, ETH, to get into these projects, demand for ETH went through the roof. The big theory here is that a single breakout subnet on Bittensor could do the exact same thing for its token TO. And this isn't just some fringe theory. The potential here is turning some very important heads. Get this. Barry Silbert, the billionaire founder of Digital Currency Group, one of the earliest and most successful Bitcoin investors ever, has called Bittensor the most extraordinary opportunity he's seen since Bitcoin itself. That's a massive statement. And he is not alone. The talent flowing into this ecosystem is just top tier. We're talking about a 20-year Google executive who led the YouTube acquisition, the guy who literally created Google AdSense, and Bittensor's co-founder, who was an AI engineer at Google. When you see people like this getting involved, it's a very, very strong signal. It really frames the whole battle perfectly. On one side, you have the cathedral. These are the closed, permissioned, centralized AI giants like Google and OpenAI. And on the other, you have the bazaar, the open, permissionless, chaotic Bittensor ecosystem where literally anyone in the world can show up and compete. And if you look at history, from Linux to the internet itself, it tells us that when the whole world can compete, the bazaar usually wins in the long run. And now, what might be the final piece of the puzzle is clicking into place. For years, actually using this ecosystem was pretty difficult for the average person. But just recently, really user-friendly wallets have launched. Think of them like a super simple, secure bank account for your crypto. This removes a huge barrier and opens the doors for anyone to get involved easily for the first time. Which really leaves us with one final huge question to chew on. We've seen the model. We've seen the incredible products. We've seen the smart people involved. So could a decentralized bazaar of competing AI startups, all subsidized and powered by a blockchain, actually be the thing that takes on the tech giants? Could this be the model that finally challenges their dominance? Well, only time will tell. Thanks for tuning in.